because she's got a team that has been try to help figure this out as well. So, Senator Bennet.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman, and I appreciate your mentioning that. Dr. Plum, that's actually where I'm headed, so I appreciate it. Mr. Chairman, we have heard what a disaster the development of the National Background Investigation System has been, and it sounds like, I hope, the review team has a clear understanding of what needs to happen to get this back on track, and I look forward to regular updates on the progress. Others have covered the costs here. I want to focus on the schedule delays. GAO reported in June 2023 that 16 of the 25 major IT business programs at DoD reported cost or schedule changes since January 2021, including 12 that had cost increases ranging from $43,000 to $194 million had scheduling delays. I think there were 12 ranging from 3 to 33 months. And program officials attributed to the changes to factors such as new requirements and unanticipated technical complexities that I'm sure drove scope in some way that might have been predicted, I guess. But my question is broader than NBIS. It gets at the pattern of large-scale IT acquisition and software development across the federal government. The chairman mentioned FAFSA and our veterans' health systems, but we could list what feels like an endless list of examples. By the way, examples where people are here to do the work but never here for the accountability when we were doing our oversight. The IRS, comes to mind in my mind actually recently as a decent implementation, but I'll put that to one side. Dr. Plum, in your statement for the record, you laid out 3 key points that this team will adopt: fixing the data architecture and adopting a modern approach, building the right team with the right skills and technical acumen, and adopting digital transformation best practices. My question is, why can't we seem to adopt these principles across the federal government, or at least in the IC and the DoD? Until these principles are mandatory, we're going to experience these failures again and again, wasting time and money and failing to deliver for the taxpayers. Would you like to say a word about that, Dr. Plum?
Thank you, Senator. I think maybe the way to start this is fundamentally our acquisition models in the U.S. government and the Department of Defense in particular have remained hardware-centric. So we fund them in similar ways to the way we fund hardware procurement, and we use feature delivery as our milestone markers for progress on them. Companies that manage IT successfully with minimal disruption to users have a more continuous integration and continuous delivery and deployment pipeline process that, for instance, only takes software offline for very short periods of time to do upgrades and invests 70 to 80% of the total program costs into the back-end data architecture and infrastructure as compared to the front-end user interfaces and features. So inside the broader question of software acquisition, while we have authorities and the software acquisition pathway, the traditional program management oversight and processes have tended to drive focus on the wrong areas, and that creates both a prioritization problem where prioritization is on front-end user interfaces and new features rather than back-end investments, and funding issues because those back-end technical complexities cost money and take extra time. In the context of NBIS, driving our recommendations is really focusing on those back-end improvements, keeping what we can, building new things where we need to, and then marrying that up with an agile, continuous process for software development and delivery so that we don't face these problems again in the future. And I'll just close by saying that while we, of course, want to get to the point where we're meeting the full set of the requirements, there's no point at which this is done. And I think moving to a mindset where this is a continuous development and improvement process that will continually manage and upgrade the back-end technology and front-end features is part of what can prevent this.
And Dr. Plum, could I, with the last 30 seconds that I have, could you talk a little bit about the Defense Digital Service? And, is this the type of team that we can bring in, that agencies, working with either the principles that you've described or some rationale, at least, could help make a difference in these kind of implementations?
Absolutely. The Defense Digital Service focuses on, they serve as our chief product office inside the Chief Digital and AI office in the Pentagon. They focus on what we call product management approach to delivery, which means they combine a product manager who owns a roadmap and that agile development process oversight with software engineers and user experience designers and researchers. The idea of that, what we call product trio, is to focus on turning the requirements that come in from customers into technical requirements and roadmaps, and then ensuring that there is a systematic execution of those that are linked to continuous testing and user experience. And this team is one that we apply to major issues and concerns inside the department that rise to a sort of priority senior leader level, like NBIS.
Dr. For your oversight of this, it's going to be hard to get to the bottom of all of it, and I'm grateful that you're making it a priority.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.